Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So we had an interesting week and I think it's the beginning of sort of the slowdown in terms of new listings that we see through the end of the year. So let's look at the numbers. In Georgetown this week, we had 9 properties sell, which is a pretty good number, I would say, given what's going on in the market. Of note is that we only had 7 new listings. So that is way down from what we've been seeing in our previous weeks, and sales is around the same. So what normally happens, I talked about this last week, mid-November, we start to see a slowdown of new listings, and this supports that. So looking at Acton, we had 2 sales and 1 new listing. Glenn Williams, this is the talk of the week this week. Glenn Williams had 3 sales. That is a massive week for Glenn Williams. I don't know the last time we saw 3 sales here. So that's, interesting. That stuff is moving. And we did have 2 new listings there as well. Limehouse, no sales, no new listings. The rural market had no sales, but 3 new listings. So also of note, last week we talked about the expired and terminated and how the properties not coming back on the market are really impacting our overall inventory levels. And so this past week we had 15 properties when I looked up expired and terminated, and only 9 of them came back onto the market. So 6 properties again this week came off the market and did not return. So that also is going to be bringing inventory levels down. So now looking at active inventory, all of Halton Hills is down from 151 to 145 active listings this week. So another kind of indicator that our inventory is continuing to come down. We have been like really stable between like 148 and 160 for months now. And so to be dropping down to 145, I think this number is just going to continue to drop through the rest of November, December, and it'll be interesting about January to see where inventory goes. So in Georgetown this week, this is of note. We are down from 90 to 83 active listings. The last time we had the realm of inventory this low was at the end of April. So this is very low in comparison to what we've been dealing with basically for the last 6 months. And last year our inventory was dropping through the end of the year, and we went into January with like 30 something active listings in all of Halton Hills, and it was literally 11 active listings in Georgetown. It was insane going into last year. But to be back at inventory levels that we haven't seen since April is really interesting to think about how that might impact the market, despite the fact that, buying power is down and it seems like buyers are less active. Having low inventory, it's supply and demand. So these numbers are getting very low. It's, again, just interesting for someone who enjoys these numbers. So looking at our price points, under 800,000 is down from 11 to 10 active listings. 800 to $1 million remain the same this week at 18 active listings. $1 million to 1.5, our classic $1 million to 1.5 price point, is the only one that went up this week. So that went from 32 to 33 active listings. And 1.5 million plus saw a huge drop this week from 29 down to 22 active listings. This was a mix of properties coming off the market in that budget and also other properties coming under 1.5. So lots of moving parts here in that higher price point that just isn't moving. Acton this week remained the same at 24 active listings. Glenn Williams is down to 7 active listings from 8. Limehouse remained the same at 4, and the rural market is up from 25 to 27 active listings. So this week is interesting for a lot of reasons. I think mostly that we saw such low new listings. The new listing number was quite low this week. And that is standard for what happens the last 6 weeks of the year. But we are still in a really unknown territory about where the market overall is going to be going. I think we all still agree that prices will likely continue to soften, but if we remain to have fairly low inventory levels and buyers are still active, it's really going to keep our market moving. My experience with buyers right now is that they are coming to terms with where interest rates are. They're obviously reevaluating things, but they're still active in the market. Like people still need to and want to move. So if the numbers make sense for them, that's still happening. So as we see these inventory levels coming down, and I mean, we're talking the lowest inventory in Georgetown that we've seen in 6 months, that is really going to impact our supply and demand levels. We know over that million plus still has a ton of supply, but underneath $1 million, we only have 28 properties in Georgetown. It's really not that high. So overall, I'm not sure where this is going to go. Typically we go into January, low inventory, and it's busy right from the get-go. That's been sort of the trend the last, I don't know, 6-7 years. So the real question mark this year is, are buyers going to be as busy? So when inventory levels naturally drop throughout the remainder of the year, are we gonna see that demand spike and prices go up? I don't think so, but I mean, not see prices drop would be a win. Sorry, that was a lot of rambling. I just got a lot going on in my head in terms of what this all means and where the market could go. But this is why we look at this every week, to really watch the trends and really see where things are going. Right now, inventory is going up. Sales are still happening, so that's good for the market. Overall, just an interesting week. So I'll be back next Tuesday. Have a great week, everyone.